All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews. Nick here.
Gabe, the Night Watchman.
And we are excited for some more George Carlin. We're checking out another one of his stand. I think this is him like on some kind of talk show. I'm not exactly sure. I'm just kind of guessing from the background he's in. Who knows? But which one are we checking out today?
It says George Carlin Everyday Expressions. Now, obviously, for me, when I first came out here, and one of the things I tell my students this all the time, I struggled with idioms because English is my second language, and as a Spanish speaker, when you're trying to translate, don't cry over spilled milk, you're like, huh, what? Or, break a leg, rompete una pierna, what? You know what I mean? So you're like, it's one of the first later saying, that's what I think he's saying by everyday expressions, and that threw me off, right? Trying to pick it up. Then you get the different dialogues and expressions from people all over the United States. We had a colleague that she was from the South, and she was like, oh, bless her heart. And I was like, what? I was like, bless your heart, I guess in the South they use it as like, oh, you're an idiot. Like, bless your heart. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they use it in the derogatory term moments. So I'm like, what? That didn't even make sense to me. Yeah. So, yeah, expressions are something that is funny depending where you come from. You may not know what the expression even means. Like, back east in Boston, I grew up in New York, but I got family in Boston. Everything is wicked. Everything is wicked. But that actually means a good thing. Like, oh, that's wicked. It was like a good thing. It was like, what? But they're using their dialogue, and you like, if you've never heard it, you're like, that sounds super weird. You know what I mean? So I'm dying to hear what he's talking about expressions.
Yeah, I took it as like facial expressions. That's probably because we're both grade school teachers and we get the facial expressions all the time. Kids have no filters.
Oh.
So maybe it's like, because that'd be a kind of a funny stand-up bit where like you're going down, there's no verbal communication, but it's just like, looks like, okay, I'll leave you alone. Excuse me. Didn't mean to get in your space. But we're going to have to find out. Excited, check it out. We have some other reactions of his on the channel. Go ahead and check those out. If you like this reaction, please don't forget to
like and subscribe.
And if there's a chance that you're seeing this and you don't see too many of our other ones, they're, going through the process, the copyright process. This one didn't get dinged, so just be patient. There's more coming. But let's go and check this out right now.
This is like the Jay Leno show.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, see, right?
How's it going?
I remember that back.
Thank you.
You'll have to control
Thank
the
you.
like
You know, we have a lot of expressions in the English language that we use all the time. Most all of us use them every day, and we never seem to examine them very closely. We just say them as if they really made sense. Like, legally drunk. Well, if it's legal, what's the problem? Leave the guy alone. He's legally drunk. You know where you can stick it. You hear that, don't you guys? You know where you can stick that. Well, why do we always assume everyone knows where they can stick it? Suppose you don't know. Suppose you're a new guy. You have absolutely no idea where to stick it. I think there ought to be a government booklet entitled Where to Stick It. Now that I think of it, I believe there is a booklet like that. They send it to you when you complain about your income tax. Selling like hotcakes. Well, is this the fastest selling item we could think of? For this figure of speech? Hotcakes? Beer, cigarettes, coffee, even eggs. You go to the average place where people are ordering breakfast, you'll find a lot more people ordering eggs than are ordering hotcakes. Well, it doesn't sound right, does it? Michael Jackson's new album is selling like eggs.
I mean, it would if you kept using it.
People won't say that. It doesn't have the right ring to it. Undisputed heavyweight champion. Well, if it's undisputed, what's all the fighting about? To me, that's the last straw. That one doesn't seem fair to me, I think you ought to warn a guy first. That's the next to the last straw. Let him know he's running out of straws. Down the pike. Boy, he was the meanest guy ever to come down the pike. Fine. What about guys who come up the pike? Not everybody lives north of the pike. Some guys come up the pike and they're really mean because nobody mentions them at all. What about a guy who don't even use the pike? Comes on Amtrak. He was the meanest guy ever to arrive on Amtrak. Doesn't have that ring. It's like eggs. Down the tubes. You hear that a lot, especially the last couple of years. People say, boy, the country is really going down the tubes. What tubes? Have you seen any tubes? Where are these tubes? And where do they go? And how come there's more than one tube? It would seem to me, one country, one tube. What, does every state all of a sudden have to have its own tube now? One tube is all you need. But a tube that big, somebody would have seen it by now. Somebody would have said, hey, Joey, look at the tube. You never hear that. You know why? No tubes. No tubes. Takes the cake. Boy, he really takes the cake. Where? Where do you take a cake? To the movies? You know where I would take a cake? Down to the bakery to see the other cakes. And how come he takes the cake? How come he don't take the pie? Pie is easier to carry than a cake. Easy as pie. Cake is not too hard to carry either. Piece of cake. Out walking the streets. You hear this when a murderer gets paroled from prison. Guy will say, now, instead of being in prison, this guy is out walking the streets. How do we know? Maybe he's home watching TV. Not every guy gets a parole, right? He's out walking the streets. Yeah. Sometimes they take a bus. Occasionally they steal a car. We ought to be glad. Thank God he stole a car. At least he's not out walking the streets. Fine and dandy. That's an old-fashioned one, you know. Say to a guy, how are you? He says, fine and dandy. Not me. I never say that. You know why? I'm never both of those things at the same time. Sometimes I'm fine, not dandy. Close to dandy, approaching dandy. In the vicinity of dandyhood. Not quite dandy. Other times, I am indeed dandy. Not fine. One time, 1965, August, for about an hour, I was both fine and dandy at the same time. Nobody asked me how I was. The riot act, you know? You hear that? They tell you keep telling you they're gonna read you the riot act. Especially when you're a kid. You wait till your father comes home, he's gonna read you the riot act. Tell him I read it myself. And I didn't like it either. I consider it wordy and poorly thought out. He wants to read me something. How about the big picture book of 250 sexual intercourse positions? More than happy. I'll bet you say that one. You say to somebody, oh, I'd be more than happy to do that. How can you be more than happy? To me, that sounds like a dangerous mental condition. We had to put Dave in the mental home. He was more than happy. Last one, in your own words. People say that to you all the time. And say, well, tell us in your own words. Do you have your own words? I'm using the ones everybody else is using. Next time they tell you to say something in your own words, say, Nick flat blarney quando flirting.
Yeah, oh man. I can't recognize that band, so I don't know where it's from.
I was thinking the same exact thing. I mean, maybe Kevin Eubanks with Jay Leno, but I don't recognize the background either. I don't know if it was just the recording or there's like elephants coming downstairs. Yeah. But could you hear like all that? It sounded like someone's like banging stuff around.
No, I think maybe
like,
just a recording.
Someone's home, but
it sounded like an old recording.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? You're gonna laugh. Why do we even use the expression "fine and dandy"? Where does dandy come
I don't even know what dandy is. I would assume it means like good. Like,
but why does it mean good? What exactly? Like most idioms or have an origin. Where's the origin of fine and dandy?
I don't know where the origin, where most of this stuff's at. Like honestly, I think about it all the time because we teach idioms to our students in 4th grade,
right?
And like selling like hotcakes. Like most people that have heard that several times, they know what the expression means. But like he said, like where did that start off? Like was it just some simple little like farmer's market?
Right.
And it's like, dude, that guy's pancakes are selling really, really quick. my oatmeal's nut. And then like the next person's like, hey, it's selling like those hotcakes. Like I have no idea. Maybe it was the name of a restaurant.
Right.
I'm always curious because think about it. So it has to start somewhere.
Right.
And then someone said it and then just picked up and everyone's saying it and you ask them, where'd that come from? I have no idea.
Now, you got to take into consideration, this was probably during like the late 80s, maybe early 90s, right? Yeah. And I just saw the funniest YouTube short the other day. And it was like, remember when people lost their mind? Because he's the legally drunk thing. And it was this clip of some people who was like, oh, man, here comes the government. Now they're trying to tell us that we can't drink and drive. Mind you, the lady literally is in the car with a baby in the front seat, no car seat, and she's being interviewed because this is when they first passed the laws. And he's like, the government wants us to the one dude was like, you get off of work and you're telling me a fella can't crack a couple of beers on the way home. So I'm thinking to myself right now in this day and age, no, you can't. Okay, but they were like seriously upset that there's the new DUI laws. That's how old this video was. She's got a baby in the front seat complaining about it, and then I think I can't. She's just like, first it was seatbelts, then it was drinking beer or drinking alcohol while you're driving. What next? They're gonna regulate how fast you can go. I'm like, oh gosh, I got this already. It was like, but bro, that was like, you know what I mean? The whole legally drunk thing. Like, I'm assuming that's where it came from. Like, okay, I'm drunk, but I'm still okay to drive. And that's what those people were thinking. Like, okay, yeah, I've been drinking, but I'm good to drive. You know, I'm not. And that's where that term legally drunk comes from. That reminded me of that. But which one of those to you, I would say, make no sense whatsoever other than the fine and dandy, which you just covered. But you hear it all the time.
Oh, man. So many of those expressions are just, I'm so used to hearing them. I mean, I get it's comedy. I get he's just making light of it, this or that. But I could understand, like, use your own words. I could understand some of the other ones. I don't know anyone that I'm like, what the heck does that mean?
The one that really got me, and even when I teach it now, I struggle to try to, like, explain to students because it's the last straw. It's the last straw says, I'm done. Like, you pissed me off. I'm to the last.
Yeah.
But why is it being, now think about the actual practical effect of there being a last straw. Like, you take out a straw and because it's the last straw, you're that angry. I don't know where that came from.
No more straws.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know why that's the last straw is one of those. Because even break a leg, right? My daughter is a dancer, and even when performers, athletes, they break a leg, well, you don't want them to get injured out there, so that's why they say the whole break a leg thing. You know, kind of like reverse jinx. So that makes sense. But that's the last straw. Let me know in the comments. What does that even mean?
If it could be anything, but using straws, like, okay, you take out that last straw, now that box is empty, right? My patience is now empty. That was the last one. Now I have no more patience, and now I'm going to lose it. That's kind of the way I look at it, right? I don't know where it came from. Straws, every time I think about Friends, where he says, remember Crazy Straws? But, it could be anything. That was the last cookie. I don't know. But the last straw, like, it's just, I got nothing left. I'm going to lose it.
I know that and again, my kids will watch this video. They still watch them. They're supporters. They're fans. And they'll be like watching these, and they clown our slang and our lingo. And I'm like, you guys are even worse than we are.
Man.
BRB.
No,
it's got the same amount of syllables as be right back. Why just, like, I don't get it. They speak in text. My kids speak to me in text. That's LOL.
There's so many stuff. The whole bombastic side eye.
What does bombastic side eye even mean?
And I remember, like, they were saying that a bunch of times. So, like, I was throwing it back. I'm like, oh, side eye. They're like, no, Dad, you're so weird. It's bombastic side eye. And then there was some other thing after that. And I'm like, where did you come up with that? No. Where'd you hear it from? Social media? Exactly. So it's just like you just repeat the same thing that you hear someone else say on a video.
We need to find one of new young person slang and then see how many of them we can figure out what it actually means. Because I still don't even know what bombastic side eye means.
Like you give someone a side eye, like you're giving them that look.
Yeah, my kid said, so why is it bombastic side eye? I'm like, what? That don't even.
Control.
That
it's
don't
like
even
the most ultimate side eye.
Ultimate side eye.
I actually do kind of like that one. But my kids, the fact that they were clowning because I didn't say it perfectly correct, and my kids are 13 and almost 15 years old. Turns 15 in a few days. Okay, and it's like, really,
dude,
like it really, really matters that much to you that I didn't say it perfectly correct. Like they take it personal.
It's hilarious.
Anyways, let us know which of these you thought was the most craziest. Which of these expressions do you still don't understand like he was asking me? Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.
Don't you give us the bombastic side eye.